Hi friends, happy Friday. We made it another week. Although that kind of sounds weird as we're approaching the weekend. Honestly, to me, every day feels like just some weird Saturday in this kind of season that we're in. But nonetheless, we made it to Friday. It is, after all, Friday. So I hope yours is going well so far. I just know for me it has been just a week, and I know talking with a number of my friends, I don't know if it's just that we're on day 20 something of social distancing and shelter in place and all that kind of stuff, but it has just been a rough week for many. So today I'm reading in 1 Kings and in Hebrews, and have just been really encouraged looking at the prophet Elijah, and I'm excited to share this with you today. That's just been kind of helping me out in this rough week. I'm in chapter 19. Elijah has just come from quite a week himself. He has just finished, honestly, this epic encounter in chapter 18, a confrontation with the prophets of Baal, and he's calling down a fire from heaven to burn up the sacrifice and essentially say our God is the true God. And it's an amazing story that you'll have to read in chapter 18. But we pick up from that in chapter 19, and Elijah is fleeing for the hills. In verse 3 it says, when Elijah saw how things were. And that just kind of made me laugh. Like, do you see how things are lately? Do you see how things are? When he saw how things were, he ran for dear life to Beersheba, far in the south of Judah. He left his young servant there and then went on into the desert another day's journey and came to a lone broom bush and collapsed in its shade, wanting in the worst way to be done with it all, to just die. Enough of this, God, take my life. I'm ready to join my ancestors in the grave. And exhausted, he fell asleep under the lone broom bush. He runs off, collapses in exhaustion, falls asleep, and it says the angel of the Lord wakes him up with a meal, bread and water for him to eat and drink. And it says Elijah goes on from there and he finds this cave where he encounters the presence of God. And the Lord says, I want to speak to you. Come near and I will pass by. And it says the whirlwind came, the Lord was not there. Fire came, the Lord was not there. Earthquake came, but that was not the Lord. And then he hears the Lord in the still small voice. I'm so encouraged by this because, here Elijah has this amazing experience, granted challenging, but amazing experience with the Lord. And then he has a moment of fear and panic, and he runs for his life. And God's posture toward him is so kind, so compassionate. He doesn't chew him out like, what are you doing here, prophet? He comes to him and offers him rest and a meal and time in his very presence for him to speak to him. He knows with such compassion what Elijah needs most in that moment, and he provides for his needs. It's made me think about Hebrews chapter 4, when it says we do not have a high priest who's unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who's been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. I want to remind us all this week to reach out and receive and turn around and offer to others just that gift of empathy, grace upon grace upon grace. This is hard. Let's acknowledge that it's hard. None of us have been here before. None of us have experienced this before. None of us know what to expect. But we can all stand in that place of, this is hard, and to be understanding toward one another, and then receive the grace that God offers us. And the reminder too, that in the middle of it all, there's earthquakes, fires, whirlwind, metaphorically kind of raging all out there. It's kind of crazy. But we can find God's presence in the still, small voice, still speaking to us. Be encouraged, friends. Reach out and receive that kindness and empathy from the Lord. Have grace for yourselves in these crazy days. Have grace for one another. And lean in and listen to that still small voice. Have a great Friday.